The blood started at the top of the stairs. Not a lot at first, just enough to catch the hallway light and turn it rust-colored against hardwood that Rebecca Martinez had scrubbed clean 3 days ago. The kind of detail a 7-year-old notices when the world slows down and every sensation becomes sharp as broken glass. Emma Martinez stood 3 feet from her bedroom door in a yellow raincoat her mother had insisted she wear to bed. Strange request at the time. Made sense now. Everything her mother did made sense now in retrospect, when it was too late to ask questions. The apartment always smelled like cinnamon candles, attempting to mask something darker. Tonight the cinnamon was losing. Rebecca tumbled down 14 steps. Not like in movies where stunt performers make it look choreographed and clean. Real falling was uglier. Limbs at wrong angles. The sound of impact, wet heavy final. Each step produced a different note. A percussion instrument made of bone and wood in desperation. Emma had been trained for this moment, drilled like a soldier preparing for deployment. Her mother's voice echoed widely through memory. If something bad happens, you don't scream. You watch, you remember. You survive. So Emma watched. Detective Ryan Castellano stood at the landing silhouette carved from shadow and hallway fluorescence. His posture was wrong for someone whose girlfriend just fell, too relaxed, hands loose at his sides instead of reaching for a phone or rushing down to help. He was waiting, confirming, making sure. Emma had learned to read his body language over the past 6 months. The subtle shifts that preceded violence. The way his jaw muscles would flex before his voice dropped an octave. The particular stillness that came before storms. She'd hidden in this closet 4 times before. Knew which floorboards creaked. Knew the closet door's sweet spot, the angle where she could see through the crack without being visible from outside. Knew how to breathe shallow and quiet, making herself small enough to disappear into shadows. Rebecca hit the bottom landing and went still. One arm twisted beneath her body at an angle that made Emma's stomach clench. Blood seeped from a gash on her forehead, but her chest rose and fell, shallow pain but present. Her eyes were half open, unfocused, staring at nothing. Playing dead or actually dying, Emma couldn't tell. Wanted desperately to believe the former. Feared the latter. Castellano descended slowly, each footfall measured. Professional. He'd done this before Emma understood that now. Other women, other stairs, other families destroyed in the name of whatever purpose drove men like him. He crouched beside Rebecca's crumpled form, 2 fingers against her throat, checking for pulse. His expression remained neutral. Clinical. A detective processing a crime scene, not a man who just pushed his girlfriend down a flight of stairs. Emma's hands pressed against the closet slats hard enough to leave marks. She bit her upper lip to keep from making sound, tasted copper, realized she'd bitten through skin. Castellano pulled out his phone. Thumb moved across the screen with practiced ease. No hesitation, no guilt, just efficiency. The voice on the other end was tinny distant. Emma couldn't make out words, just tone cold expectant. Castellano's response came flat and rehearsed like lines from a script he'd memorized. It's finished. She won't be a problem anymore. The kid goes to Hope House tomorrow morning. Everything's proceeding as planned. Hope House. The name made Emma's blood freeze in her veins. She'd heard stories, whispered in playgrounds by kids whose older siblings had vanished into that place. Foster home on paper. Something else in reality. Something with teeth. Kids went in. Not all came out. The ones who did emerged different, hollowed, eyes that had seen things no child should witness. Castellano continued. Ambulance CTA is 8 minutes. I'll control the scene. Make it look like a domestic accident. Her ex-boyfriend, unstable history of violence, fled when confronted. More tinny voice. Castellano nodded like the person could see him. Understood. Hayes wants the girl delivered by noon tomorrow. I'll handle it personally. Captain Vincent Hayes. Emma had heard that name before. Castellano talked to Hayes the way people talk to bosses, or gods, with respect born from fear. Rebecca's lips moved. No sound emerged at first, just breath, pushing past broken ribs. Then a whisper so faint Emma almost missed it beneath her own thundering heartbeat. Emma, run. Find Marcus Brennan. Iron Patriots Motorcycle Club. Tell him you're his daughter. Tell him everything. The words dissolved into a wet cough that sprayed red across pristine hardwood. Castellano stood abruptly, phone still pressed to his ear. Yeah, she's unconscious. Won't be waking up to contradict my story. You'll have your delivery tomorrow. He walked toward the kitchen without looking back at Rebecca's body. The front door opened and closed. His footsteps echoed down the exterior stairwell, fading into November night. Emma waited, counting seconds in her head the way her mother had taught her. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Soldiers counted under fire to stay calm. Emma counted to stay alive. 60 Mississippis meant it was probably safe to move. She counted to 60 twice. Sirens started then. Always sirens when bad things happen. The soundtrack of trauma, her mother called it once during a rare moment of dark humor. Emma pushed the closet door open inch by careful inch. Wood whispered against carpet. She froze at each sound, waiting for footsteps. None came. She crossed her bedroom floor on practiced, silent feet. The backpack waited under her bed where it had lived for the past 3 weeks. Emma hadn't questioned why her mother insisted on the emergency pack. Hadn't questioned the drills or the memorization or the route planning. Children of dangerous men learn not to question survival protocols. The bag was already packed. Cash in rubber-banded stacks. Emma had counted it once, found $3,000. Stopped counting when the number became too large to comprehend. A USB drive sealed in a plastic zipper bag with "Do Not Lose" written in her mother's careful handwriting. A photograph wrapped in tissue paper. A folded map with yellow highlighter marking a road through neighborhoods Emma had walked twice in daylight with her mother. Flashlight, granola bars, water bottle, a burner phone with 1 number programmed in. Emma's hands shook as she pulled the straps over her shoulders. The bag was heavy. She was small for 7, barely 45 pounds, according to her last doctor's visit. Her mother said she was strong anyway. Strong didn't always mean big. Sometimes strong meant surviving when bigger people wouldn't. The bedroom window slid up without sound. Her mother had oiled the hinges last month. Emma understood why now. Every strange request, every unexplained preparation, pieces of a puzzle forming a picture Emma wished she couldn't see. Cold November air slapped her face. Rain fell in sheets, drumming against metal fire escape stairs and turning the alley 3 stories below into a river of trash and oil rainbows. Emma climbed out, closed the window behind her, and descended the ladder with her backpack bouncing against her spine. Her sneakers were soaked before she reached the second-floor landing. By the time her feet hit alley pavement, she was shivering. The ambulance pulled up to the building's front entrance, lights painting brick walls red and white. 2 EMTs jumped out, grabbed a stretcher. Emma ran the opposite direction toward the back street where darkness pooled thick between broken streetlights. 3 miles. That's what the map showed. 3 miles through neighborhoods that got progressively worse the farther you walk from main roads. Emma knew the route, had memorized it, had walked it twice with her mother, pointing out landmarks. The bodega with the green awning, the church with the broken steeple, the overpass covered in graffiti that said things Emma was too young to understand. Each marker was a checkpoint, proof she was still on course. Emma walked fast but didn't run. Running attracted attention. Her mother's rules cycled through her head like a recording she couldn't shut off. Stay in shadows, don't make eye contact. If someone approaches you, scream and run toward light. Your voice is a weapon. Use it. The rain helped, kept people indoors, kept eyes away from windows. Emma was just another small shape moving through the downpour beneath notice. The first mile passed in a blur of wet pavement and burning lungs. Emma's legs ached. The backpack straps cut into her shoulders through the thin raincoat. She ignored the pain. Her mother was dying, might already be dead in an ambulance, racing towards St. Luke's Hospital. Pain was background noise. The second mile brought her through the neighborhood her mother always called the bad blocks. Bars on every window, dogs barking behind chain-link fences. A group of men huddled under an overpass, passing something between them that glowed orange in the dark. One of them noticed her, tall, thin, wearing a jacket 3 sizes too large. He straightened up, squinting through rain. "Hey, little girl, you lost?" Emma's heart hammered against her ribs. She veered left, cutting down an alley she didn't recognize. Not on the map, didn't matter. Away was the only direction that counted right now. Footsteps splashed behind her. The man was following. "Come here, it's dangerous out here alone. Let me help you find your parents." The words sounded concerned. The tone underneath wasn't. Emma had learned to hear gaps between what people said and what they meant. Useful skill when your mother dated a monster. Emma ran then, full sprint. The backpack bounced wild against her spine. Her sneakers slipped on wet concrete. She caught herself on a dumpster, kept moving. The footsteps behind her stopped. A different voice called out, older and rougher. "Marcus, leave the kid alone. Christ, what's wrong with you?" The footsteps retreated. Emma didn't slow down until she reached the next street in the yellow glow of a working streetlight. She bent double, gasping. Rain plastered her hair to her skull. Water ran into her eyes, mixed with something hot that might have been tears. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. "Feeling sorry for yourself won't save you. Action will. Get up. Keep going." Emma straightened, found the church with the broken steeple 2 blocks ahead. Back on route. The third mile hurt worse than the first two combined. Her legs felt like concrete. Her chest burned with every breath. The rain had soaked through her raincoat, through her clothes, all the way to skin. She was so cold her teeth chattered. But there it was, Rusty's Roadhouse. A squat brick building with small windows and a parking lot full of motorcycles lined up in perfect rows. Harleys mostly. Emma recognized them from pictures her mother kept hidden in a shoebox under the bathroom sink. Chrome gleaming even in rain. American flags hung from several bikes, limp and dripping. Light spilled from the windows, warm orange light that promised heat and safety. Emma stood at the parking lot's edge, suddenly uncertain. Inside that building were men her mother trusted, men Emma had never met. What if her mother was wrong? What if they turned her away? What if they called the police? What if they handed her back to Castellano? The fear sat in her chest like a stone she couldn't swallow. She wanted to collapse right there in the parking lot and let the rain wash her down the storm drains. Instead, she thought about her mother's twisted arm at the bottom of those stairs. Thought about Hope House and the kids who went in and didn't come out. Thought about Castellano's dead eyes and colder smile. Emma pulled the photograph from her backpack, careful to keep it under her raincoat where rain wouldn't damage it. 5 men and her mother all smiling at the camera. Christmas decorations in the background, tinsel and lights, and the kind of joy Emma had never seen in her mother's face during the Castellano years. Her mother looked young, happy, before everything went wrong. Emma walked to the door. It was heavy, wood-scarred and stained from decades of use. She had to use both hands to pull it open. The warmth hit her first, then the smell. Machinery and leather and coffee, not fear for the first time in 6 months. Safety. Music played from a jukebox in the corner. Something old with guitars and a gravelly voice singing about fortunate sons and silver spoons. Emma didn't understand the lyrics but felt the anger underneath them. Protest music, her mother called this kind of song. 15 men filled the space. Some at the bar, some around a pool table, some at tables with beer bottles and playing cards. All of them wore leather vests covered in patches. American flags, military insignia. A logo Emma didn't recognize, an eagle clutching a shield with stars and stripes. Every conversation died the instant Emma stepped inside. 15 pairs of eyes turned toward the door, toward a 7-year-old girl in a soaked yellow raincoat, standing in a puddle of rainwater, with a backpack hanging off her small shoulders. Emma's legs shook. She wanted to run, but she'd come 3 miles in the rain, and her mother was dying, and Hope House was waiting, and she had nowhere else to go. She walked to the center of the room on legs that barely held her weight, pulled the photograph from under her raincoat, held it up with both hands so they could see. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted, but steady enough. "My mom said one of you is my father. She said to find Marcus Brennan. She said he'd protect me." Silence held for 3 heartbeats. Then a man stood from a stool at the bar. Not the tallest or the biggest, but something about him commanded attention. Authority earned through decades rather than claimed through volume. He was lean like a runner, maybe 6'1". Gray beard, gray hair pulled back in a ponytail that reached between his shoulder blades. Weathered face with lines carved deep around his eyes and mouth, the kind of wrinkles that came from squinting at desert sun and genuine laughter in equal measure. A scar ran down his left forearm, visible below his rolled sleeve. Old scar, decades old, shrapnel maybe or knife wound, the kind that told stories. He wore a leather vest covered in patches. On the left side over his heart, a purple heart medal hung from a pin. His eyes were gray-blue like storm clouds, haunted but kind. He moved toward Emma slowly, like approaching a wild animal that might bolt. When he got close, he didn't tower over her. He knelt instead, lowering himself until his eyes were level with hers. The familiar sense wrapped around Emma machinery and warmth safety she hadn't felt in months. His voice came gentle, despite its roughness, like sandpaper wrapped in velvet. "Who's your mother, sweetheart?" Emma's throat tightened. Speaking her mother's name made this real, made the blood at the top of the stairs real, made the possibility of death real. "Rebecca Martinez. She bartended here 8 years ago." A murmur rippled through the room. Emma caught fragments. "Rebecca, beautiful girl, smart as hell, always had a smile. Haven't seen her since that Christmas party. Wondered what happened to her. She just vanished. No goodbye, no explanation." The man's eyes never left Emma's face. "Where's your mom now?" The words stuck in Emma's throat like broken glass. She forced them out. "St. Luke's Hospital." Detective Castellano pushed her down the stairs. "He's coming for me." The man's jaw tightened. His eyes went hard for a moment before softening again. "What's your name?" "Emma Martinez." "How old are you?" "Emma." "7. And you walked here?" Emma nodded. "How far?" "3 miles." Something shifted in his expression. Respect maybe, or recognition of something he'd seen before in other survivors. Another man approached. Massive didn't begin to describe him. 6'5", at least 60 years old, but built like he could still break bones without trying. Bald head gleaming under bar lights. Gray beard reaching halfway down his chest. Gentle eyes that didn't match the intimidating body. His vest had a patch that read "Bear" in blocky letters. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. "Some debts can only be paid in blood." The kneeling man shot him a look. Bear shrugged, unapologetic. Emma pulled the USB drive from her pocket with numb fingers. "Mom said if anything happened, give this to Marcus Brennan. She said it would." She stopped, not sure how to finish. "Would what?" the man asked. "Would change everything." The front door exploded inward. Flashlights cut through the warm orange glow, blinding everyone they touched. White beams swept the room like searchlights in a prison yard. Men shouted. Chairs scraped against floor. A voice cut through the chaos, cold and authoritative. "Step away from the child." Emma's blood turned to ice water. She knew that voice. Had heard it sweet and charming when Castellano first started dating her mother. Had heard it drop into this register, cold official, dangerous, when he wanted Rebecca to understand who held power. Detective Ryan Castellano walked through the door with 6 uniformed officers behind him. Tall, muscled, clean-cut. Mid-30s with the kind of face people trusted. Strong jaw, clear eyes. The kind of cop who got promoted because he looked like what cops should look like in movies. Behind them came a woman Emma didn't recognize. Asian features, late 40s, wearing a white doctor's coat over street clothes. Her expression was carefully controlled, but her eyes held something Emma understood. Recognition. Pain. The look of someone who'd lost something and spent years trying to find it again. Castellano's eyes found Emma immediately. His smile was warm enough to melt butter. The same smile he'd used when he first met Emma, bringing ice cream and promises that he'd never hurt her mother. "There you are, sweetheart. We've been so worried. Your mom's asking for you at the hospital." Lies. All lies. Emma's mother was barely conscious when she left. Might be dead by now. The lie was so smooth it would have convinced anyone who hadn't watched this man push a woman downstairs 90 minutes ago. The woman in the white coat stepped forward, producing a clipboard with official-looking papers. "I'm Dr. Sarah Chen. I'm Rebecca Martinez's attending physician at St. Luke's Hospital. I have temporary custody authorization for Emma signed by her mother." The kneeling man Marcus, Emma assumed, stood slowly, putting himself between Emma and the officers. The other bikers moved too, forming a loose semicircle around the girl, not threatening, just present, a wall of leather and muscle and weathered faces. Marcus addressed Castellano directly. "Investigation into what exactly?" Castellano's smile never wavered. "Domestic dispute. Mother's boyfriend pushed her down some stairs. Fled the scene. We need Emma's testimony to build our case." "Her mother's boyfriend." Marcus let the words hang. "That wouldn't be you, would it, Detective?" Castellano's smile frosted at the edges. "I'm investigating the incident. The boyfriend, unstable individual, history of violence, fled when confronted." We're looking for him now. More lies stacked on lies like building blocks made of smoke. Emma gripped Marcus's vest without thinking. The leather was warm under her cold fingers. Real. Solid. Proof that not everything was falling apart. Bear moved forward half a step. Despite his size, his voice stayed measured. She stays until we hear from her mother directly. In person. Not through paperwork signed by someone who might have been sedated. 6 hands drifted towards 6 service weapons. 15 bikers didn't move at all. The tension stretched thin as wire pulled to breaking point. Dr. Chen spoke again, her voice carrying a strange undertone Emma couldn't identify. Warning, maybe. Or solidarity. Detective, perhaps we should wait for Rebecca to stabilize. She was conscious an hour ago. We could get her permission directly rather than relying on paperwork that, given the circumstances, might not reflect her actual wishes. Castellano's head snapped toward the doctor. Something flickered across his face, too fast to read. Anger, fear. Recognition that Dr. Chen wasn't playing along with his script. The paperwork is legal and binding, doctor. Dr. Chen met his eyes without flinching. I'm sure it is, but given that Rebecca Martinez is my patient, and I have concerns about her capacity when she signed, given she'd just been pushed down a flight of stairs and might have been in shock, I think another hour won't hurt. Let the girl warm up. Get some food. We can revisit custody once we've spoken to Rebecca directly. The standoff held. Emma could hear her heartbeat in her ears loud as drums. Could smell gun oil and leather and coffee and fear mixing into something acrid. Castellano's radio crackled. A tinny voice requested his status. He grabbed it without breaking eye contact with Marcus. Code 4. Situation under control. Stand by. He looked at Emma. His smile was still there, but his eyes were dead and cold as river stones in January. 1 hour. Then I'm coming back with a warrant and child protective services. And Emma, honey, your mom really does want to see you. She's going to be so relieved you're safe. The officers filed out. Dr. Chen hesitated at the door, glancing back at Emma with an expression that might have been sympathy, or apology, or warning. Then she was gone too. The door closed. The warm orange light flooded back, pushing away the harsh white beams. Emma's legs gave out. Marcus caught her before she hit the floor, scooping her up like she weighed nothing. He carried her to a booth near the back, set her down gently on cracked vinyl that had been patched with duct tape in 3 places. A biker with silver hair and a lean, sharp face appeared with a towel and a steaming mug. Hot chocolate. Made it the right way. Real milk, real cocoa. Little bit of cinnamon, like my grandmother taught me. Emma wrapped her cold fingers around the mug. The heat burned, but she didn't let go. Pain meant she was still alive. Marcus sat across from her, Bear settling in beside him with a chair that groaned under his weight. The other bikers gave them space but stayed close. Watchful. Present. Marcus's voice dropped low, meant only for Emma. I need you to tell me everything. Start at the beginning. What happened to your mom? Emma took a sip of hot chocolate. It scalded her tongue. She took another sip anyway, buying time to organize thoughts that felt scattered like puzzle pieces on a floor. Then she told them. About Castellano's temper. About the escalation over 6 months from controlling to cruel to dangerous. About the stairs tonight and her mother's whispered instructions. About the 3-mile walk through rain and fear. About Hope House and the kids who disappeared. She didn't cry. Action saved people, not tears. Her mother taught her that. When she finished, Marcus pulled the photograph from where Emma had set it on the table. He studied it for a long moment, his finger tracing over faces like reading Braille. Christmas 2016. I remember this party. His voice went distant, accessing memory files stored for 8 years. That's me there. That's Wolf James Wilson, passed away 6 years back in a motorcycle accident. Ghost transferred to Arizona chapter. Smoke's doing time in Folsom State Prison on weapons charges. In chains? He gestured toward a grizzled biker near the pool table. Late 60s face like worn leather gray beard reaching his belt. The man looked up as if sensing his name, nodded once acknowledgement without interrupting. 3 of us still here. Could be any of us. Could be none. Your mom might have been wrong about the timing or the father. Emma shook her head hard enough to make water droplets fly from her hair. She's not wrong. She said you'd know. She said to show you this picture, and you'd understand. Marcus's eyes held questions he didn't ask. Instead, he turned to the lean, sharp-faced biker. Snake, you good with computers? Snake grinned, showing teeth that had seen better decades. Vietnam-era radio operator. Been hacking since modems sang at each other over phone lines. What do you need? Emma produced the USB drive, set it on the table like laying down a weapon. A small plastic rectangle that supposedly held the power to change everything. Snake's grin faded. He pulled out a laptop from behind the bar. Apparently computer equipment was standard issue in biker bars, and connected the drive. His fingers flew across the keyboard. 2 minutes of typing. Then his face went pale under the bar's dim lighting. It's encrypted. Military grade. Give me 20 minutes. The jukebox kept playing. Someone started a new game of pool. The crack of balls breaking was too loud in the weighted silence, like thunder before a storm. Marcus touched the purple heart on his vest. Emma watched him do it. A compulsive gesture, unconscious, like scratching an old wound that never quite healed. Who taught you to walk 3 miles alone in the dark? Emma's fingers tightened around the mug. Mom did. She made me practice. Made me memorize the route. Said I might need it someday. Smart woman. She's dying. Marcus's hand stilled on the medal. You don't know that for certain. I saw her fall. I heard her ribs break when she hit the letting. The words came out flat, factual. Emotion was a luxury Emma couldn't afford right now. I heard the sound her head made hitting the floor. Blood was seeping from somewhere I couldn't see. She might already be dead. The words sat between them, heavy as stones. Bear leaned forward. For such a massive man, he moved with surprising gentleness, like he'd spent decades learning to make himself less threatening around people who needed protecting. What did your mom say about Hope House? Emma's breath caught in her chest. That kids go there and don't come out. Or they come out wrong, scared, broken. That Castellano's friends run it. That he told her if she didn't do what he wanted, I'd go there and learn to be a good girl. Her voice dropped to a whisper. He said his friends would teach me things. Said I was pretty enough that they'd enjoy the lessons. The implications of that statement made every biker in the room go still. The kind of stillness that came before violence. Emma had seen it before the moment men decided someone needed to die. Bear and Marcus exchanged a look. Marcus turned to Snake. Speed it up. Snake's typing intensified. The laptop screen cast blue light across his face, making shadows dance in the hollows of his cheeks like ghosts trying to escape. 5 minutes passed. 10. Emma finished the hot chocolate. Someone brought her a sandwich she couldn't eat. Her stomach was twisted too tight, like someone had tied knots in her intestines. 15 minutes. Snake swore under his breath. 16. 17. At 18 minutes, the encryption broke. Snake's face drained of color. Oh, Christ. Marcus stood moving to look over Snake's shoulder. Bear followed each man's footsteps, heavy as executioner's drums. Emma couldn't see the screen from where she sat. She watched their faces instead. Watched Marcus's jaw clench hard enough she could see muscle jumping. Watched Bear's hands curl into fists the size of small hams. Snake's voice came out hollow, like someone had scooped out his insides. Financial records. Hope House charity. 2.3 million in donations over 2 years. Money moving offshore through shell corporations in the Caymans and Panama. And there's video files. Marcus grabbed Snake's shoulder hard enough to make the man wince. Don't open those. Not here. Not with her here. But Snake had already clicked. The video played silent, but Emma saw their faces react. Saw the horror and rage twist Marcus's features into something terrible and avenging. He turned away from the screen, gripping the bar hard enough his knuckles went white. His breathing came harsh and controlled, like someone trying to leash a beast that wanted freedom. Bear spoke, voice thick with fury, barely contained. 47 kids. Documented. Snake kept scrolling, each click revealing fresh horrors Emma couldn't see but could imagine from the men's reactions. Documented locations, buyers, prices, wire transfer records. This isn't just corruption. This is trafficking, industrial scale. Children being sold like... Stop! Marcus's voice cut like a blade. I've seen enough. He turned to Emma. His face had transformed. Still gentle when he looked at her, but something deadly lurked beneath. A soldier who'd seen combat, remembering what needed to be done when evil stopped being abstract. Emma, honey, that detective, Castellano. How long has he been with your mom? 2 years. And Hope House. When did he start talking about it? Emma had to think back. Time felt fluid when you lived in fear. 6 months ago, maybe? He said if mom didn't behave, I'd go there. He said his friends ran it. He said they'd teach me how to be a good girl. He said, her voice cracked. He said pretty little girls were always in demand. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Marcus looked at Snake. Copy everything. Send it to the FBI, anonymously. Snake's hands were already moving, fingers flying across keyboard. On it. Using Tor network routing through 3 countries. Untraceable. How long until they respond? FBI hours. Maybe longer. This hits a lot of important people. They'll need to verify, build a case coordinate. Best case scenario, they move by dawn. Marcus checked his watch. Old military watch with scratched face and leather band worn soft from decades of use. We've got 40 minutes before Castellano comes back. Emma needs protection. Real protection. Not just for an hour. For as long as this takes. Chain spoke from his position by the pool table, voice gravelly as old roads. Take her to the cabin. 3 hours north, off-grid. Solar panel satellite internet supplies for weeks. He'll never find her there. Castellano's a cop with resources. He'll track us. Coordinate with other departments. Put out an Amber Alert if he wants. Make us the kidnappers instead of the protectors. Let him try. That cabin's registered under a shell company registered to a dead man's estate. No paper trail leading back to us. And once we're there, Chains cracked his knuckles. Let him come. We'll be ready. Another biker stepped forward, younger than most, maybe 55, with a neatly trimmed beard and sharp eyes that missed nothing. His vest patch read Blade. He pulled a leather jacket from behind the bar. Small, child-sized. He held it out to Emma. This was for my daughter. She's grown now. Moved to Seattle, became a lawyer. Can you believe that? A lawyer from a biker's kid. His smile was proud despite the self-deprecating words. Anyway, it doesn't fit her anymore. It'll keep you warm on the ride. Emma took it. The leather was soft, broken in by years of wear. It smelled like the room machinery and safety. She put it on. It was 2 big sleeves hanging past her hands. But it was warm, and it made her feel less alone. Marcus knelt in front of her, again eye level. Emma, I'm going to tell you something important. We're all going to be your father until we figure out which one really is. I know that doesn't make sense, but in our world, family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's who shows up when you need them. Your mom sent you to us. That makes you ours to protect. Emma looked around the room. 15 men all watching her with expressions ranging from concern to rage to something that might have been tenderness. Strangers an hour ago. Family now apparently by some logic Emma didn't quite understand, but desperately wanted to believe. Her voice came out steady despite everything. You promise? Marcus's hand touched the Purple Heart again. That compulsive gesture Emma was starting to understand. A talisman. A connection to the past. A reminder of promises made and kept. Iron Patriots don't break promises to children. That's a rule written in stone. Doesn't bend, doesn't break. Not for cops, not for judges, not for God himself. Emma nodded slowly. Okay, I believe you. Behind them, Snake called out. FBI's got the files, received and confirmed, and there's something else in this data. Hope House financials trace back to Captain Vincent Hayes, runs the place, owns the building through shell corporations. But there's another name in the transaction chain. Detective Ryan Castellano. He's not just dating your mom, Emma. He's part of the operation. Money's been flowing to him for 3 years. Emma's stomach dropped through the floor. 3 years. Her mother had only been with Castellano for 2, which meant he'd targeted her, chosen her specifically. But why, as if reading her mind, Bear spoke. Single mother, no family, works service jobs, waitress, bartender, vulnerable, easy to control, isolated. The words made Emma's skin crawl. Perfect victim profile. Marcus pulled out his phone, started texting. Emma watched his thumbs move across the screen, fast and decisive. Calling in the Brotherhood. We're going to need backup. If Castellano wants a war, we'll give him one. The front door opened. Everyone tensed. Hands moved toward weapons that may or may not have been visible. But it was just Dr. Chen, alone this time. She closed the door behind her, locked it, pulled the blinds down over the windows, shutting out the world. When she turned to face them, her expression was grim but determined. We need to talk about Rebecca, about Emma, about everything. The highway stretched black and wet beneath them. Emma pressed her face against Marcus's leather vest, feeling the engine's vibration travel through her small body like electricity. The world was nothing but speed and thunder and white lines disappearing under chrome. Behind them, headlights multiplied. 4 vehicles became 6. 6 became 8. Snake's voice crackled through Marcus's helmet radio. They're not cops, no sirens, no lights, private security. Marcus leaned into a curve, the bike tilting until Emma could feel gravity trying to peel her off. She held tighter, trusting muscles and metal in this stranger who'd promised protection. Hayes sent his people. Castellano must have called him the second we left. Bear's rumble came through static. How many at 12 vehicles? Maybe 40 men. The formation tightened. 8 motorcycles moving like starlings in flight, each rider anticipating the others through decades of riding together. They'd navigated worse than this. Ambushes in desert mountains overseas, riots at protests, funeral processions through hostile territory. This was just another road. Emma felt Marcus's breathing steady despite the chaos. Combat calm, the kind soldiers learned when fear became background noise. An Escalade pulled alongside. The rear window descended. A man leaned out, weapon rising toward Marcus's head. Bear's bike surged forward, cutting between them. His arm shot out, grabbed the gunman's wrist. The weapon discharged into empty air. The Escalade swerved, tires screaming, nearly sideswiped a sedan. 2 other SUVs braked hard to avoid collision. The formation pulled ahead. Marcus took an exit without signaling, diving into surface streets where sodium lights turned rain into orange mist. The others flowed behind him like water finding its path. The SUVs couldn't follow as easily. Too wide. Too slow through residential corners. The gap widened. 1 mile. 2. Marcus pulled behind a warehouse in an industrial park that smelled like diesel and old rubber. Killed the engine. The others followed suit. Silence crashed down. Emma's legs shook when Marcus lifted her off. She'd clenched so tight her muscles had locked. He steadied her until blood flow returned. You did good, kid. Most grown men would have panicked. Emma's voice came smaller than she wanted. I was panicking. I just didn't move. Respect flickered across Marcus's weathered face. That's the only kind that counts. The kind that makes you freeze your body, but not your brain. Rain started again. Soft mist that caught street light and made halos. Snake checked his phone, face illuminated blue. They're searching. Grid pattern, 3 blocks west. We've got 20 minutes before they sweep here. Marcus pulled out his phone, typed fast. Calling reinforcements. Ghost Arizona chapter is 4 hours out. Roadblocks Nevada crew by dawn. Chains lit a cigarette ember glowing. His voice carried decades of smoke and wisdom. Take her to the cabin. Let them come. We'll be ready. The younger Snake handed Emma a granola bar from his saddlebag. Eat, long night ahead. Emma wasn't hungry. She ate anyway. Strawberry-flavored cardboard that stuck in her throat. Marcus knelt beside her. Emma, I need to ask something. Your birthday. The question came from nowhere. April 17th. What year? 2017. Marcus pulled the photograph from his vest. Christmas 2016. His finger traced faces. This party was December 23rd, 9 months before you were born. He stopped searching for words a 7-year-old would understand. Your mom and I, we were close. One night, then she disappeared. I looked for months. The pieces clicked, slowly. You think you're my dad? Might be. Emma studied his face, tried imagining him younger laughing at that party with her mother. Do you want to be? Marcus's hand went to the Purple Heart. That tell Emma was learning to read. Yeah, I do. Then you are. Mom said families who shows up. You showed up. His eyes went wet. He blinked hard, looked away. Emma reached out, took his scarred hand in her small one. Mom said family is who shows up. You showed up. The dam broke. Silent tears tracked through dirt on his face. 30 years without crying ending now. Bear cleared his throat, giving Marcus space. Vehicles 2 blocks north. They mounted up. Engines roared. Formation reformed. The detours turned 3 hours into 4. Back roads through towns where nothing stayed open past 9. Forests where pine pressed close and deer eyes reflected red. Emma dozed against Marcus's back, jolting awake at potholes. Her body screamed for sleep, but her mind wouldn't stop spinning. Every time she closed her eyes, her mother tumbled down those stairs. Dawn was breaking when they reached the cabin. 3 buildings and forest clearing. Main cabin was rough-hewn logs with tin roof. Generator shed and bunkhouse flanking it. Solar panels glinted. Satellite dish pointed at sky. This place was built for people who wanted to disappear. Marcus cut the engine. Profound silence. No traffic, no sirens, just wind through pines and distant bird calls. Emma slid off, legs wobbling. Bear caught her before she fell. Get her inside, warm her up. I'll secure perimeter. The cabin smelled like wood smoke and old coffee. Stone fireplace dominated one wall. Kitchen with wood stove and hand pump. Mismatched furniture that had seen better decades. But it was clean and dry and far from Castellano's reach. Snake set up equipment on a rough table. Within minutes, satellite internet was running. 3 laptops displayed security feeds, police scanners, FBI alerts. Off-grid but not blind. I'll know if anyone comes within 2 miles. Marcus guided Emma to a couch, wrapped her in wool blanket that smelled like cedar. Sleep, you're safe. What about my mom? Dr. Chen's with her. She'll call if anything changes. Emma wanted to believe him, but sleep wouldn't come. Her mind kept spinning. Marcus sat across from her, watching, protecting through stillness. Tell me about Wolf. Marcus's hand touched the Purple Heart. Why wait, though? Mom circled his face in the picture. Marcus went quiet. Wolf was my brother, not blood, choice. We served together in Vietnam, came home together, built the Iron Patriots together. What happened to him? Motorcycle accident, 6 years back. Semi ran a red light, dead before the ambulance arrived. Marcus's voice went distant. I was 3 states away at a rally, got the call at 2 a.m. Worst call of my life, including Vietnam. I'm sorry. Me too, every day. Emma pulled the blanket tighter. What was he like? Marcus smiled despite grief. Quiet, didn't talk unless he had something worth saying. But when he did, people listened. He saw through bullshit straight to truth. Sounds like you. We learned from each other. Emma's eyes drifted closed. Marcus continued telling stories, adventures and mistakes and the stupid things young men do when they survive war and don't know what to do with being alive. She was almost asleep when his phone rang. He answered on first ring. His face changed as he listened. Pale, then hard, then something unreadable. Are you sure? Pause. Jesus Christ. Longer pause. I understand. Another pause. Yeah, she's here. Safe. He hung up, sat silent for 30 seconds. Who was that? Marcus looked at her with an expression that might have been grief or something worse. Dr. Chen, your mom's awake, fully conscious. Better than we thought. Relief flooded Emma's chest. She's okay. Stable and recovering. The fall was serious, broken ribs, concussion, head wound. But when Castellano checked her pulse, she played unconscious. Made him think she was dying. Bought you time to escape. Emma processed this. She faked being unconscious. Not the injuries, those were real, but she didn't respond, didn't move. Let him think he'd won. Marcus stood paced to the window. Dr. Chen says your mom wants to see you. Can you handle a hospital visit? Yes, please. We'll need to be careful. Hayes's people are still hunting, but Dr. Chen says FBI presence at the hospital is heavy now. We'll have protection. 2 hours later, they rode into St. Luke's hospital parking structure. Emma wore a borrowed helmet that covered most of her face. Marcus kept one hand on his phone, ready to call for backup. Dr. Chen met them at a service entrance. Follow me, I've arranged a private route. They took service elevators, moved through hallways Emma had never seen. Finally, room 507. Rebecca sat propped in bed, bandaged head, bruised face, but her eyes were clear and focused. Emma stood in the doorway, suddenly frozen. Rebecca's face crumpled. Baby. Emma ran, crashed into her mother's arms, careful of IV lines and bandages, but holding tight. They both cried. For the first time in days, Emma let herself break. I'm sorry, Rebecca whispered. I'm so sorry you had to do that alone. You saved me, Mom. You taught me how. Rebecca pulled back, studied Emma's face. Marcus has been taking care of you. Yes. Rebecca looked at Marcus standing in the doorway. Thank you, I knew. I hoped. She couldn't finish. Marcus's voice was gentle. She came to the right place. Rebecca's hand tightened on Emma's. There's something I need to tell you both about Emma's father. Marcus stepped closer. I figured it might not be me. The timing's right, but so are 4 other Russ guys from that party. Rebecca shook her head. I know who it is. I had DNA testing done when Emma was born. April 17th, 2017, 9 months after that Christmas party. She pulled a paper from her bedside drawer. Old, folded many times. Lab results. I've carried this for 7 years. She handed it to Marcus. He unfolded it slowly. Read. His face went still. Wolf. Yes. Marcus sat in the chair like his legs gave out. Wolf's daughter. I'm sorry I never told him. By the time Emma was born, he was already... Rebecca's voice broke. The accident was 3 months before. I went to the funeral, stood in back where nobody would see me. I wanted to tell you then, but I couldn't. Emma looked between them. My dad died before I was born. Marcus's voice came rough. 3 months before. He never knew about you. Emma felt the loss of something she'd never had. A father who died not knowing she existed. Rebecca continued. Wolf came to see me when I was pregnant. I called him one night, scared alone, didn't know what to do. He showed up at the hospital. She pulled a second photograph from the drawer. Worn at edges, faded. Emma took it. A man held a newborn baby. The man's face wasn't visible, shot from behind, but Emma could see his hands. Scarred knuckles, a watch with leather band, the purple heart visible on his vest. That's him, Rebecca said, holding you. 10 minutes after you were born. He said you were perfect, said you deserved better than this life. Then he left. I told him it was a mistake me calling, told him to forget it happened. Marcus took the photo with shaking hands. I recognized the watch. The hands, that's Wolf. He looked at Emma. This is why your mom sent you to me specifically, because Wolf told her once drunk at that Christmas party that if anything happened to him, he'd want me raising his kids. Said I was the one person he'd trust with something that important. Emma absorbed this. A father she'd never meet, but Marcus, who Wolf had trusted above all others. So you're my uncle. By brotherhood, if not blood. That's close enough, Rebecca smiled through tears. Wolf would have loved you, Emma. He would have been so proud of who you're becoming. A nurse appeared at the door. I'm sorry, but she needs rest. You can come back this evening. Emma hugged her mother again. I'll come back, I promise. Stay safe, stay with Marcus. I will. They left through the service corridors, back to the parking structure, back to Marcus's bike. As they rode toward the cabin, Emma thought about fathers, the one who died 3 months before she was born, the one who'd taken his place without question, the brotherhood that made both possible. Family wasn't just blood, it was who showed up, who stayed, who kept promises made to people who were gone. They reached the cabin just as Snake's laptop started beeping. Multiple vehicles, coming from all directions, 40-plus heat signatures. Bear grabbed a rifle. Hayes found us. Marcus scooped Emma up, carried her toward the back room. Stay hidden, stay down, I'll come back for you. He set her in a closet, left the door cracked so she could see out. I'll come back, I promise. More explosions. Gunfire. The real assault had begun. Bullets punched through log walls. Wood splinters exploded everywhere. Emma pressed hands over ears but couldn't block the sound. Marcus returned fire through broken windows. Controlled bursts. 3 rounds, repositioned 3 more. Bear covered east side. Snake and Chains held west. Other bikers spread between positions. A grenade arced through a window. Snake kicked it back outside before detonation. The explosion shredded trees. They're testing defenses, Marcus called out, looking for weak points. A mercenary rushed the front door. Bear's shot caught him in the shoulder. The man went down. His team dragged him back. Hayes's voice boomed through a bullhorn from the trees. "You're bleeding ammunition. We can do this all day." "You can't." He wasn't wrong. Snake was down to his last magazine. Marcus's phone rang. He answered without lowering his weapon. Agent Nolan's voice. "Marcus, we're 15 minutes out. Air support scrambling. Hold your position." "Trying, but we're running low." The front door exploded. Breaching charge. Smoke poured through. 3 mercenaries rushed in. Bear met the first with a rifle butt to the face. Chains shot the second in the leg. Marcus tackled the third. More smoke. More mercenaries. The cabin was being overrun. Emma couldn't stay hidden. These men were dying for her. She pushed the closet door open, stepped into chaos. Marcus saw her. His face went white. "Emma, no!" A mercenary turned toward her, young, scared. His weapon started rising. Emma ran at him, 45 pounds of fury. She crashed into his knees. He stumbled backwards, tripped, went down. Bear was there instantly. "Don't move." Emma scrambled to Marcus. He grabbed her, pulled her behind the overturned couch. "What the hell were you thinking? They're dying for me. I should help." Marcus started to argue, stopped. Something in her eyes made him reconsider. He handed her a heavy flashlight. "Anyone gets past us, you hit them. Face, hard as you can." The smoke cleared. Hayes's men regrouped. 4 were down in, but ammunition was critical. Hayes's bullhorn, impressive but pointless. Reinforcements coming. This ends one way. Then new sound, distant, growing louder. Motorcycle engines. Many. Snake looked at his laptop. GPS signatures incoming. 3 directions. I'm reading. Jesus. Over 200 bikes. Marcus's hand went to the Purple Heart. Ghost called the Brotherhood. The sound grew from thunder to earthquake. Emma felt it in her bones. Hayes's men heard it. Confusion spreading. The first bikes appeared over the ridge. Then more. Then a flood. Formation. Tight, disciplined. American flag streaming. Sun caught chrome and turned them mythic. 200 bikes. Maybe more. They spread through the clearing in a massive semicircle. Riders dismounted synchronized. Not aggressive. Just present. The lead rider removed his helmet. 70 years old, silver beard to his chest, scarred face. "I'm Roadblock, Arizona chapter. These are my brothers from 5 states. We heard Marcus Brennan needed help." He looked at Hayes's mercenaries. "Drop weapons and walk away, or we come get you. Your call." Weapons hit ground one by one. Hayes's voice through the bullhorn. Desperate. "You think this is over 47 locations. You'll never find them all." Snake's laugh was cold. "Already found them. Hacked your network. FBI has every location. It's over." Movement in trees. Hayes emerged, gray suit, dead eyes. He pulled a pistol, not pointing at bikers, pointing at the cabin. At Emma, Marcus moved, throwing himself forward. But Emma was faster. She saw the gun, saw Marcus, saw trajectory, understood he wouldn't make it. So she pushed him instead of hiding. The gunshot was impossibly loud. Emma felt impact before sound, like someone punched her right chest. She hit the floor, couldn't breathe, couldn't understand why breathing stopped. World slowed, sound cut except heartbeat, loud, fast, then slower, irregular. Marcus's mouth moving but no words. His hands pressed her chest. Red leaked between fingers. Bear joined, trying to stop bleeding. Emma's vision narrowed. Darkness creeping. Her heartbeat slowed. World grew distant, then stopped. Bullets punched through log walls like they were made of paper. Wood splinters exploded across the cabin interior. Emma pressed her hands over her ears in the closet but couldn't block the sound. Each gunshot cracked through her skull and settled in her chest. Marcus returned fire through a shattered window. Controlled bursts. 3 rounds repositioned 3 more. Military discipline bleeding through decades of civilian life. Bear covered the east side. Snake and chains held the west. The other bikers spread between positions, creating overlapping fields of fire that kept Hayes's mercenaries pinned at the tree line. But pinned wasn't defeated, and 40 men against 8 was mathematics that didn't care about courage or skill. A grenade arced through a broken window. Snake kicked it back outside before it detonated. The explosion shredded pine trees and sent dirt raining down. "They're probing defenses," Marcus called out, "testing for weak points." Another grenade. This one landed in the fireplace. Bear grabbed it barehanded, threw it out a side window. It exploded midair. The concussion wave shattered remaining glass. Emma's ears rang so loud she couldn't hear her own breathing. She watched through the closet crack as these men strangers 8 hours ago fought with the synchronized precision of soldiers who'd been in firefights before. Vietnam hadn't been their last war, just their first. A mercenary tried rushing the front door. Bear's shot caught him in the shoulder. The man went down screaming. His teammates dragged him back behind cover. Hayes's voice boomed through the bullhorn again. "You're bleeding ammunition. We can do this all day. You can't." He wasn't wrong. Snake was already down to his last magazine. The others weren't much better off. Marcus's phone rang. He answered without taking his eyes off the tree line. Agent Nolan's voice crackled through. Emma could hear it from the closet. "Marcus, we're 15 minutes out. Air support is scrambling. Hold your position." "Trying to, but we're getting low on—" The front door exploded inward. Breaching charge. Smoke poured through the opening. 3 mercenaries rushed through the smoke. Bear met the first one with a rifle butt to the face. The man's nose shattered. He went down hard. The second mercenary got 2 steps before Chains' shot caught him in the leg. He collapsed, clutching his thigh. The third made it to the center of the room before Marcus tackled him. They crashed through a coffee table, fists and elbows in brutal efficiency. Marcus was older, but he'd been fighting longer. 30 seconds and the mercenary was unconscious on the floor. More smoke. More mercenaries. The cabin was being overrun. Emma couldn't stay hidden anymore. These men were dying to protect her. She couldn't just watch. She pushed the closet door open, stepped into chaos. Marcus saw her. His face went white. "Emma, no!" A mercenary turned toward her. Young, maybe 25. Scared eyes above tactical gear. His weapon started to rise. Emma did the only thing she could think of. She ran at him, 7 years old and 45 pounds of fury and desperation. The mercenary hesitated. Fatal mistake. Emma crashed into his knees. He stumbled backward through the smoke, tripped over debris, went down. Bear was there instantly, weapon trained on the fallen mercenary. "Don't move!" Emma scrambled to Marcus. He grabbed her, pulled her behind the overturned couch. His voice came harsh and terrified. "What the hell were you thinking?" "I was thinking they're dying for me. I should help." "You're 7. So," Marcus started to respond, stopped. Something in Emma's eyes made him reconsider whatever he'd been about to say. Instead, he handed her a heavy flashlight. "If anyone gets past us, you hit them with this. Aim for the face, hard as you can." Emma took the flashlight. It was solid metal, heavy enough to do damage. The smoke started clearing. Hayes's men had pulled back, regrouping. 4 of them were down, wounded but alive. The bikers had held the line, but ammunition was critical. Marcus had maybe 20 rounds left. The others were worse off. Hayes's bullhorn crackled. "Impressive, but pointless. We have reinforcements coming. You don't. This ends one way." Then a new sound cut through the morning air. Distant at first, growing louder. Motorcycle engines, many of them. Snake looked at his laptop, his face transformed. "Oh my God. What?" "GPS signatures. Incoming from 3 directions. I'm reading—" "Jesus Christ, I'm reading over 200 bikes." Marcus's hand went to the Purple Heart. "Ghost called in the Brotherhood." The sound grew from distant thunder to earthquake. Emma felt it in her chest, in her bones. The floor vibrated. Dust fell from ceiling rafters. Hayes's men heard it too. Emma could see them through the shattered windows, confusion spreading through their ranks. Heads turning toward the access road. The first motorcycles appeared over the ridge. Then more. Then a flood. They came in formation, tight and disciplined, American flags streaming from sissy bars. The morning sun caught chrome and leather and turned them into something mythic. 200 bikes, maybe more. Emma couldn't count them all. They spread through the clearing in a massive semicircle, engines rumbling like controlled thunder. Riders dismounted in synchronized precision. Not aggressive, just present. a wall of leather and muscle and decades of combat experience. Hayes's mercenaries were outnumbered 5-1 now. The lead rider removed his helmet. Older than Marcus, maybe 70. Silver beard to his chest. Scarred face that had seen things worse than this. His voice carried without amplification. I'm Roadblock, Arizona chapter Iron Patriots MC. These are my brothers from 5 states. We heard Marcus Brennan needed assistance. He looked directly at where Hayes's men crouched behind the cover. You boys have a choice. Drop your weapons and walk away, or we come get you. Your call. The mercenaries looked at each other, at Hayes somewhere in the trees, at the overwhelming force arrayed against them. One by one, weapons hit the ground. Hayes's voice came through the bullhorn one last time. Desperate now, cornered. You think this is over? I have 47 locations. You'll never find them all. Those kids are gone. Snake's laugh was cold and sharp. Already found them. Hacked your entire network 2 hours ago. FBI has every location, every buyer, every transaction. It's over, Hayes. Silence. Then movement in the trees. Hayes emerged. Late 50s gray suit, somehow still clean, despite the firefight. He looked like a banker or politician. Someone's uncle. Not a monster who sold children. But his eyes were dead. Emma saw it even from inside the cabin. Whatever humanity had lived there once was long gone. He pulled a pistol from his jacket, not pointing it at the bikers, pointing it at the cabin, at Emma visible through the shattered window. Marcus moved instantly, throwing himself in front of her. But Emma was faster. She saw the gun, saw Marcus moving, saw the trajectory, understood in a fraction of a second that Marcus was bigger, slower, wouldn't make it in time. So she pushed him instead of hiding behind him. The gunshot was impossibly loud, closer than all the others. Emma felt the impact before she heard the sound, like someone punched her in the right side of her chest, hard enough to knock her backward. She hit the floor, couldn't breathe, couldn't understand why breathing had stopped working. The world slowed down, sound cut out except for her heartbeat. Loud, fast, then slower, then irregular. Marcus's mouth was moving, but no words came out. His hands pressed against her chest. Red leaked between his fingers. So much red. Emma tried to tell him she was okay, but no air would come. Her lungs felt full of concrete. Heavy. Useless. Bear appeared. His massive hands joined Marcus's, trying to stop the bleeding. But there was so much of it. Emma's vision narrowed. Darkness creeping in from the edges. She thought about her mother. About Wolf, the father she'd never meet. About Marcus, who'd chosen her anyway. Her heartbeat slowed more. The world grew distant. Then it stopped. The world exploded back into sound and sensation. Someone's mouth on hers, breathing for her. Hands on her chest, pushing, counting. Come on, kid. Don't you dare. Don't you fucking dare. Marcus's voice, broken and desperate. More pushing, more breathing. Emma's heart stuttered, stopped, stuttered again. A new voice. Female, calm despite the chaos. I'm a nurse, combat medic, let me work. Hands more skilled than Marcus's, still pushing, still breathing. Emma's heart caught, beat once, twice, established rhythm. Air rushed into her lungs. She gasped, coughed, red sprayed from her mouth. The nurse's voice stayed calm. Collapsed lung, bullet missed the heart. She's got a chance. Sirens in the distance, close now. Multiple vehicles, FBI tactical units poured into the clearing. Agents in body armor securing Hayes's men. Handcuffs clicking. Rights being read. An ambulance skidded to a stop. EMTs rushed inside with a stretcher. Emma felt herself being lifted. The cabin ceiling passed overhead. Then sky. Gray morning clouds that looked like they might rain again. Marcus's face appeared above her. Tears tracking through dirt and blood and gunpowder residue. You're going to be okay. You hear me? You're going to be fine. Emma tried to speak. Couldn't. Her throat was full of copper and pain, but she thought the words loud as she could, hoped somehow he'd hear them anyway. Thank you for showing up. The hospital was white and sterile and smelled like disinfectant instead of motor oil. Emma hated it immediately. She woke in a private room 3 days after surgery, Tubes ran from her arm to bags of clear fluid. Monitors beeped steady rhythm. Her chest was wrapped so tight she could barely breathe. Her mother sat in the chair beside the bed, bandaged and bruised but alive. Awake. Real. Baby. Rebecca's voice broke. Oh God, baby, you're awake. Emma tried to speak. Her throat was raw. Mom. Rebecca was up instantly, holding Emma's hand. Careful of the IV. Don't talk. You need to rest. The doctors said, is Marcus okay? Rebecca's smile was sad and proud at the same time. He hasn't left the waiting room in 3 days. None of them have. Bear snake chains, 20 other bikers I don't know. They're all out there, waiting. Hayes in custody. FBI has him on 47 counts of trafficking. 3 counts of murder. He's never seeing daylight again. Castellano, Rebecca's face hardened. Also in custody. He's cooperating. Giving testimony against Hayes and everyone else involved. It won't save him, but it'll save some of those kids. Emma processed this. The morphine made thinking difficult. Everything felt distant and floaty. The 47 kids, did they find them? All of them, safe now, being placed with families or returned to their real parents. Snake's hacking saved them. Emma's eyes drifted closed, opened again with effort. Wolf was my dad. Rebecca's hand tightened on hers. I should have told you. I should have told him. Marcus said Wolf wanted him to raise his kids if anything happened. He did. So Marcus is still my dad, just different. Rebecca's tears started fresh. Yeah, baby. He is. Emma slept. Woke. Slept again. Time became meaningless. On the 4th day, Marcus was allowed to visit. He looked worse than Emma felt. Gray skin, bloodshot eyes, beard unkempt. He'd aged a decade in 4 days. But when he saw Emma awake, his face transformed. Hey, kid. Emma's voice was stronger now. Still rough, but working. Hey. Marcus pulled a chair close. Sat without touching her, like she was made of glass and might shatter. You scared the hell out of me. Sorry. Don't apologize. You saved my life, pushed me out of the way. You were going to take the bullet for me. Yeah, that's what fathers do. Marcus's eyes went wet. He looked away, cleared his throat, looked back. The DNA results came in. Emma's heart rate spiked. The monitor reflected it. And Wolf was your biological father, 99.7% certainty. Omaha Sama Emma had known, but hearing it confirmed made it real. She had a father, had always had one, just never knew him. What was he like? Marcus smiled. The first real smile Emma had seen from him. Quiet, thoughtful, saw through bullshit to the truth of things. He had this way of making you feel heard, even when he wasn't saying anything. Best man I ever knew. Better than you? Yeah, better than me. Emma thought about this. But you're here, and he's not. He would be if he could. I know, but you showed up instead. That counts. Marcus's hand found hers. Careful of the IV, his scarred palm was warm and rough. Real. Your mom and I have been talking about custody, about what happens when you're released. Emma's stomach clenched. Am I going to foster care? No, never. Rebecca wants joint custody with me, if that's okay with you. You'd want that, Marcus's voice was firm, absolute. I want that more than anything. Then yes. They sat in comfortable silence. The monitors beeped. Rain started outside the window. Soft and gentle this time. Not threatening. The gun, Emma said. The one Hayes shot me with. What happened to it? Evidence. FBI has it. When they're done with it, can I have it? Marcus looked surprised. Why, wow? To remember, this is when my life split. Before this moment and after. I want something physical, something real. Marcus studied her face. 7 years old, but something ancient looked out through her eyes now. Trauma did that, changed you in ways that couldn't be measured. I'll ask. But Emma, you don't need a gun to remember. This, he gestured at her bandaged chest. You'll carry this forever. The scar, the memory. I know, but I want the gun anyway. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay, I'll see what I can do. 2 weeks later, Emma was discharged. Rebecca got her in a wheelchair despite Emma's protests that she could walk. Hospital rules, everyone leaves in a wheelchair. They rolled toward the exit. Emma expected Marcus, maybe Bear, a few bikers to escort them home. Instead, the hospital lobby was full. 30 bikers in leather vests, standing respectfully, not crowding or being loud, just present. When Emma appeared, they all stood straighter, a gesture of respect that made Emma's throat tight. Marcus stepped forward. In his hands, he held a vest, small, child-sized. Black leather with the Iron Patriots patch on the back. Below the patch, new embroidery, fresh and careful. Emma Little Wolf Brennan, honorary member. Emma stared at it. I get a road name. Marcus knelt so they were eye level. You earned it. You fought when you could have hidden. You saved lives, including mine. That makes you one of us. But I'm 7. Courage doesn't have an age requirement. He helped her put the vest on over her hospital gown. It fit perfectly. Someone had measured carefully. The bikers watched in silence. Then one by one they approached, each one touching the vest, a hand on the shoulder, a brief squeeze, acknowledgement, acceptance. Bear was last. He knelt like Marcus had. His massive hand engulfed Emma's shoulder. You're packed now, little one. That means family. That means forever. Imam couldn't stop the tears, didn't try. 7 years old, and she'd found something she didn't know she'd been searching for her whole life. The courthouse was less dramatic, just paperwork and a judge who looked over glasses and asked Emma questions in a kind voice. Do you understand what joint custody means? It means I live with my mom, but Marcus is also my dad, and I stay with him sometimes. And you want this arrangement? Yes. Judge Ross smiled. Then I see no reason to deny it. Emergency custody is granted, full custody hearing in 90 days. But between us, she leaned forward conspiratorially, I don't see that changing. You've got good people fighting for you, Emma. The gavel fell. Official, legal, real. Outside the courthouse, Emma stood between her mother and Marcus, Rebecca on one side, Marcus on the other. Both of them had chosen her. Both of them stayed. That's what family does, Marcus had said. They choose each other again and again. Emma chose them right back. 6 months passed. Emma started therapy. Nightmares came less frequently. The scar on her chest faded from angry red to pale pink. She learned to breathe deep without wincing. Marcus taught her to change motorcycle oil, to check tire pressure, to respect the machine. Rebecca taught her to trust again, that not all men were threats, that home could be safe. The 47 rescued children held a reunion at Rusty's Roadhouse. Emma met kids from 6 states, ages 5 to 16, all of them scarred in different ways. A girl named Sophie, 12 years old, sat next to Emma. You're the one who got shot. Yeah. Did it hurt? Yeah. Were you scared? Emma thought about it. I don't remember being scared. I just remember thinking Marcus needed me to move. Sophie nodded. Understood. My dad, not my real dad, my adopted dad now, he said you're a hero. I'm not. I just did what I had to. That's what heroes do, though. They don't think about it. They just do it. Emma had never thought about herself that way. Didn't feel like a hero. Just felt like a kid who survived something terrible and came out different. But maybe that was enough. A year passed. Then 2. Emma turned 9. The nightmares were rare now. She could sleep without checking locks 3 times. Marcus got custody officially. Shared with Rebecca, Emma split time between them. Weekdays with her mom, weekends with Marcus. Summers at the cabin in the woods, where it had all almost ended. She learned to ride a motorcycle, not on highways yet, just around the property. Marcus beside her the whole time, teaching her throttle control and weight distribution and how to read the road ahead. On her 10th birthday, Marcus gave her a gift. The gun, Hayes's gun, deactivated, trigger mechanism removed, bullets gone, just metal and memory. And mounted beside it, a plaque. Emma, Little Wolf Brennan, December 2024. 7 years old when she stood between evil and innocence and chose to stand. Emma traced the words with her finger. That's not what happened. Marcus's voice was gentle. That's exactly what happened. Emma hung it on her bedroom wall, not to glorify violence, but to remember the moment her life split into, before and after. 10 years later, Emma was 17. Marcus was 72, gray beard longer, face more weathered, but eyes still sharp, still seeing through bullshit to truth. They rode together on Sunday mornings. Emma on her own bike now, a 1982 Harley Sportster that Marcus had rebuilt with over 2 years. Every bolt turned by their hands together. The Purple Heart hung from her rearview mirror. Wolf's medal that Marcus had carried for decades. Passed down now, legacy continuing. They pulled into Rusty's Roadhouse as the sun climbed over the mountains. The parking lot was full. Sunday was Brotherhood breakfast. Tradition going back 30 years. Inside, the walls had changed. Photos everywhere. The original Christmas 2016 party. Emma at 7 with Marcus. The 47 rescued children at their first reunion. Marcus receiving a commendation from the governor. Center wall in a glass case, Emma's yellow raincoat from that first night. The USB drive. The photograph. Below it, the plaque Emma had read 1,000 times but never got tired of. December 2024, the night Emma Martinez walked in alone and gave 200 brothers a reason to prove that honor still exists. New bikers came and went, young ones who hadn't been there that night. But they all knew the story. All knew what the yellow raincoat represented. Emma sat at the bar. Black coffee, no sugar. She'd learned to drink it Marcus's way. A young woman approached, early 20s, nervous. "Are you Emma Brennan?" "The Emma Brennan." "Depends what you need." The woman took a breath. "My name's Sophia. My mom was one of the 47. She was 6 when you saved her. She's 16 now. She told me if I ever needed help, find the Iron Patriots. Find Emma." Emma looked at Marcus. He smiled, nodded. Emma turned back to Sophia. "What kind of help?" "My boyfriend, he's getting violent. I need to leave, but I don't have anywhere to go." Emma gestured to the booth. "Sit. Tell me everything." While Sophia talked, Emma thought about cycles, about how she'd walked through these doors 17 years ago seeking protection. Now others came seeking the same from her. About how Wolf died before meeting his daughter. But his daughter lived and carried his memory forward with every person she helped. About how Marcus had been given a second chance at redemption and taken it, and taught Emma that promises meant more than blood. About how family wasn't who you were born to. It was who showed up when you needed them. Marcus watched from across the room. Watched Emma become the thing he'd always hoped she would. Not despite her trauma, but because of it. Because she'd learned young that the world was cruel, but that didn't mean you had to be. Bear approached 70 now, but still massive. "She's got your eyes," Marcus smiled. "She's got Wolf's heart." "Same thing. You two were always more alike than different." The roadhouse filled with the sounds of brotherhood. Laughter and old stories and the clink of coffee mugs. Outside, motorcycles gleamed in the morning sun. Emma finished talking with Sophia, made calls. Within an hour, a safe house was arranged. Legal aid contacted. A plan in motion. Sophia cried, hugged Emma. "Thank you. Thank you so much." "You don't thank family. You just show up when they need you." After Sophia left, Emma stood at the memorial wall, studied the photos, the yellow raincoat, the plaque. Marcus joined her. "You thinking about that night?" "Always." "Regrets?" Emma thought about the scar on her chest, the nightmares that still came sometimes. The weight of memory she'd carry forever. "No, that night gave me this, all of this, you, the brotherhood, purpose." Marcus's voice was soft. "Wolf would be proud." "You think, I know, because I'm proud." And he and I always saw things the same way. They stood in comfortable silence, father and daughter, not by blood, by something stronger, by choice, by showing up, by staying. Outside, more motorcycles arrived. The brotherhood growing, new chapters forming in new states, the ripple effect continuing. Emma watched them come, leather and chrome and American flags. Men and women who'd served, who'd survived, who'd chosen to stand between the vulnerable and violence. Her people, her family. The morning sun climbed higher. Rain clouds gathered on the horizon but hadn't arrived yet. There was time. There was always time if you used it right. Emma pulled on her vest. The leather was worn now, broken in, comfortable. Emma Little Wolf, Brennan honorary member, 17 years since that December night, and counting. She turned to Marcus. Ready. For what? Someone else needs help. 3 towns over. Single mom with a violent ex got her number from a shelter. Marcus smiled. Let me get my keys. They walked out together, the roadhouse behind them, the highway ahead, a woman who needed them waiting 3 towns over. The past didn't die, it didn't fade, it just became part of the foundation you built the future on. And sometimes a 7-year-old girl walked into a bar with a gun and desperation and changed everything forever. Not because she was special, but because she was brave enough to ask for help and found people brave enough to give it. That's what real family does. They show up again and again, no matter what.